like that when I ask Craig to join, do you know what it says? It says, Craig is thinking. What is he thinking about? Like he's thinking, wait, he's got to think about it. He's got to think about it. Come on, Craig. Just join, dude.
Craig is
I see him
I'm
in the
not sure I
audience.
want to join these guys. I'm not sure I want to record for them.
Yeah, but welcome in, everybody. It's me, Johnny, and with me, I've got, again, DJD. I have a long pause here. Are we not ready? Are we not ready to start?
I was not ready now.
Apparently not.
Okay. Are you ready now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's just do that one more time. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Johnny, and with me I've got DJD and Farmer.
Hello.
Welcome in. And so right before we started recording, I posed a question, and I thought it would actually be a very good question for the podcast itself. The question being, do you get battery anxiety? Are you the kind of person who watches the battery on any of your devices, or are you the kind of person that just you just let it go down and you charge it when you need to charge it?
Generally, I like to keep my devices charged as much as possible, personally.
Same. I very much get battery anxiety. Seeing something, I don't know, man, it starts right away, right? Like 70%. I'm like, oh man, 70%. Oh man, 60%. And I get stressed about it, and I wonder, am I going to have enough or da-da-da? And my wife gets zero battery anxiety. She just drains those things until it's 1%. And then she's like, oh, I need to charge my device, and plugs it in. I could never.
No, I couldn't either. That's insane. I legitimately would not be able to handle that.
What about you, Farm?
I think for me, I'm more like the latter, honestly, because most of my devices are already normally plugged in. So it's really just my phone. I'm not working off like you are with let's say an iPad or a Surface or something that's battery charged for long periods of time where I need it. So I don't even really think about it. I charge mine, just my phone, that's all I got to worry about. And sometimes I charge it if it's at 50, sometimes I wait until it's all the way down to 5 or 10 just to kind of break it up, because I just want my lifespan of my battery to be better. So
right.
I kind of like to, kind of freak it out, I guess, a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's true too. I am very much a mobile device user. So I'm using iPads. My audio interface I'm using right now is a battery powered mobile interface, right? My microphone I'm using right now is a battery powered mobile microphone. Everything in my life has batteries, and I have pretty severe battery anxiety. I'm always checking stuff and charging stuff to make sure. And my 10-year-old son is the same, but Chiho and Bethany both don't think about it and don't care. Chiho will be like, oh, my phone's dead. And she's just sitting there with a dead phone, just holding it, not going to plug it in, nothing. She's just like, oh yeah, my phone died. I'm like, what? What do you mean your phone died?
It's a stupid complaint, but one of my things too is if my phone dies, it's an extra 5 minutes or whatever for it to restart. Because first it needs to get enough charge to reactivate or whatever, and then it starts from nothing, and that always takes a couple minutes too. And it's okay, well, I know nothing crazy happened in that 5 minutes. I know it. I know that no one called asking me to put on my superhero suit and save the world or anything. But internally, it's I don't know, like you said, anxiety just racking me until I'm back and connected to the world again.
But don't you have a cellular watch, Apple Watch?
Yeah, that's true.
So if anyone called you, it would just go straight to your watch, right?
Right, yeah. And I actually do leave my phone at home occasionally when I go out and stuff too, because that way I don't have to worry about it. But I don't know why. It's stupid, but yeah, no, I need everything charged if I can. Yeah.
I will say one anxiety I probably have with that whole thing is not necessarily maybe needing to charge, but like the dying anxiety though. Like it's at that 1% or something. I know it's about to turn off. That's when I go for the charger or freak out. And I'm like, oh, I've got to beat it. I got to make sure it doesn't turn off. And I don't know why that's a thing for me, but it's always like a game. Like I gotta plug it in before it dies, before it does the whole restart. And I don't know. It's just gotten to be kind of like a fun, but also not fun. It's like almost like panic at the same time. It's like, can I beat it? Can I not? And if I don't, I'm like, oh, that I just lost. But if I get it, it's just that sigh of relief. Ah, I did it.
It's like catching a door right before it closes, and you just managed to get there just in time. Like it's that feeling. Yeah.
This is a little off topic, but talking about death, I am reading a book right now called The Olympian Affair by Jim Butcher. It's book 2 of the Cinder Spire series. And no spoilers, but David knows this about me. For some reason, in many forms of media, not just books, my favorite character usually dies. Like somehow something happens to them and they die. There's a character that they just introduced in this book who is now being put in harm's way. And I'm just like, don't do it, Jim Butcher. Don't you dare do it. Oh my God. I'm getting stressed reading it. I'm getting like, oh my gosh,
like he's just dangling it in front of you, Johnny. He's like, I know you like this character, but gotta go.
Kind of like no anxiety about the fate of this character after that chapter. Now it's like it could really go either way. Really, it could go either way. Oh God, I'm not a fan of this. Not a fan of this. But isn't that life in general, right? Like it could go either way at any moment. Not a fan. Not a fan.
Do you prefer characters being introduced and killed off quickly, or long existing characters being killed off? Like, irregardless of how much you like them, like just in general. Like, say you like them the same amount. Do you prefer a short time with them, or yeah?
I would love it if characters didn't die. There's enough death in real life to satisfy me, But as far as that, here we can use a classic example of Fantastic Beasts 2. What a terrible movie.
Oh my God.
The only thing that happened in that movie was the new character they introduced died. That's it. That's all that happened. So we didn't have long with that character, just one movie. I don't know. I think I would be a fan of a longer term character dying more than a short term character dying. You know who does the short term character dying a lot is Stranger Things. That happens a lot. Like almost every season, some randomly beloved character that was just introduced that season dies. Right, Farm? Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But the funny thing about the way that Stranger Things does it, I think they give you enough to where you really kind of connect with that character. And when they kill them off, you're like, no. You're like, no.
I know, you're just waiting for Mike to die, hoping Mike's going to die, and he doesn't. And then this other character you like survives, or you like dies, and Mike survives. And you're like, come on. Mike's fine, by the way. I just had to choose somebody,
All this reminds me of Until Dawn and the amount of anxiety I had over making sure that certain characters lived and certain characters didn't. Like Hayden Panettiere's character, I really wanted to make sure that she lived.
You wanted to save the cheerleader, right?
Yeah.
Well, but Baldur's Gate 3, I find because like anyone can die, right? Like you can kill characters or important characters that come up in side quests later. Like you can just get killed, right? And so I find myself sometimes reloading battles because some random NPC died that I'm like, oh, I think they might be important. Let's just like do that again and not get them killed.
Right. Yeah. No, same. Absolutely. In terms of that, because it's like, shoot, like, what if that person has something important to talk to me about if they live? And most of the time they don't.
They often do. They often do. I'm in Act 3. The amount of people from Act 1, for real, that are like popping up and being like, "Oh, hey, what's up? I haven't seen you in a
Really?
while. It's nice to run into you here." I'm just like, "Oh my god!" Literally, before I came here, my wife was asking about this one quest line she had watched me do, and it's like, "Whatever happened to that person?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, I mean, maybe we'll run into them because they said they were going to the city, and we're in the city now." And then, like, freaking, like, I went into a building, and it was like, "Oh, there she is." Speak of the devil. And she was like, "Oh my god, it's you. Help me." And it's like, "Yep, here we go. Another quest. Here we
And
go."
it turns out she was a squirrel.
It's funny you say that. She actually was transmorphed, not in her human form, but as a sheep. And the first step was I
really?
had to,
Well,
yeah,
that's
I
pretty
had
close
to
there.
figure out how to get her back to being human, and then talk to her. But I could talk to her because I had animal speak.
I actually need to get that. I've been relying on potions that give me it so far.
What's your so I've changed my class multiple times on the playthrough of Baldur's Gate I'm playing right now, and I'm currently a dwarf, a shield dwarf, and I am a ranger. I shoot things with a crossbow, and I can summon animal friends. DJD would hate me. I got animal friends hanging out.
I love animals, okay?
Farm, have you played any Baldur's Gate?
I actually, at this time, actually don't even have it. I don't have it right now, so
Good. Stay away from it.
Well, that is kind of the part of the thing. Is like, well, how many games do I have going right now?
Right.
And I just know it's one of those games. As soon as you like start sinking your teeth into it, you're in that game, and you're gonna be in that game for a while. And that's kind of how games like that go, especially for me, because I'm kind of like a one-track mind, kind of single player. You know, if I'm playing a single player game or something with a story-driven, game, I like tend to like just lose myself, and I'm not very good at like multitasking. I just do the one thing.
Here's the problem with Baldur's Gate 2.
Three. Right?
There are already Baldur's Gate 3 technically. Here's the problem with Baldur's Gate also. There are choices that I've made that I regret making. Right? Like,
Ooh, yeah.
that always happens, and it's like in the next playthrough, I'm not going to do this. And actually, there's a couple of them too that I'm like, in my next playthrough, I would like to do this. Right? Like, I'm going to choose this one, but but I'm not even done with the game yet, and I'm already like wanting to change things that I did, in Act 1 and in Act 2. Seeing further down consequences, right?
So how in depth are you going with that? Are you actually making notes on this? Are you actually making notes so you remember?
They're pretty big ones. They're pretty big things, so I don't really need to make notes on it. But like, D, this is for you, I guess, and for anyone listening who hasn't played Baldur's Gate 3, because like I feel like I'm the last person to play it. You can't make everyone happy in the party,
Right?
So like it's really clear that like you have to choose the people in the party who you want to be happy, and that's the deal. And I wasn't playing like that, like. Yeah, so that's the big one for me.
That's one of the things I like about Starfield, actually, is that the way that they do New Game Plus, like it's basically like another playthrough, but like so you get to kind of revisit a lot of the decisions you didn't make or play an entirely different way.
Oh my God, Daniel told me he started playing Starfield and liked it. I'm not happy about that.
The update just came out for it too. That fixed a lot of the bugs.
Anyway, so on my podcast topics here, I've got a. I'm just kidding. Cool.
To move forward.
But you know what? This actually does kind of work. One of the things I have written down that I want to talk about is how the internet is the worst. And I have 2 points about this. One, I saw something recently going around. I don't know how real it is, that like George R. Martin was talking about how like the internet is just filled with hate now. I don't know if anyone else saw that.
I think that was a real quote. Yeah, I think that was.
But I'm going to tie it into a specific thing that Farmer actually, I think you too, actually, D, engaged with me on Threads. I'm already seeing Avatar The Last Airbender fans hating on the Netflix live adaptation of the show based on stuff that the showrunners have said. And I'm so done. I'm so done with these new post 2020 fans, right? Like, shut up.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of crazy. We were actually just talking about this whole thing actually when you joined us. It's
little
kind of
bit.
funny.
Number one,
Yeah.
Number one, they talked about that the original cartoon was really made for kids. And so they changed some of the tone of it because they wanted to appeal to an older audience too. They specifically
showrunner
mentioned
said
Game of
that, right?
Thrones. The showrunner said this.
Yeah.
And people are getting so mad about number one, the original show was made for kids. It was on Nickelodeon.
First season especially. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with liking something that was made for children. I just want to say that first off. Like all of the people who are like, this show isn't made for kids and oh man, it handles all of this mature stuff and da da da. It's like, first off, shut up. You're wrong. Yeah, it was 100% made for children. And if you like it, that doesn't mean that you're a child. Just relax. Right? Issue number
Controversial.
one.
I would say the same thing about Harry Potter a little bit. Like, I mean, when it comes down to it. Yeah.
A lot of things. Every Disney movie. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Made for kids. It's okay to like things made for kids, adults. Like, no, maybe people are judging you. I'm not judging you. Just chill out. Like freaking God, you know? Number two, to hate on it before it comes out and it's dead already, all of that stuff. You know, the fact so one, Avatar The Last Airbender was made into a live action movie, right? That was terrible. This is not a live action movie. It's a TV show. So it is different. But the fact that they're doing it again is a miracle, right?
Sure, I would agree with that. Yeah,
we live in this age where it's like just in my 31 years on this earth, there's been 3 live action Batman adaptions and countless animated adaptions. There's been 3 live action Spider-Man adaptions and countless animated adaptions, and people get this idea that, oh, you know what? Like, they're doing it bad. I'm just not going to support it. And it's going to come back around, right? That doesn't happen. Not everything is Batman and Spider-Man. A lot of, look at the Dresden Files TV show. That had 1 season. And guess what? It is not coming back around. How many years ago was that?
Yeah, that was a while ago. Yeah.
Let me look it up. Dresden Files TV show. That was 2007. Wow. Was that 15 years ago? 16 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, for real. You know, and not saying that everyone has to support things or that they have to support things they don't like. But we talked about last week that we're in an era of great adaptions, right? Some things are very heavily adapted. Lord of the Rings, very heavily adapted from the books.
And some of it needs to be in terms of that. I mean, just to like bring it up to modern times or whatever.
I haven't read The Expanse series, but I've heard it was heavily adapted from the books. Like there are whole characters missing, right? That they like merged into other characters and stuff.
Right.
What else is really beloved that was, you know, I mean, Game of Thrones was also pretty heavily adapted as well.
The Hobbit, I would say, was pretty heavily adapted.
Pretty heavily adapted. Heavily. Keyword is heavily adapted.
Maybe a little too much.
Yeah. I mean, Rings of Power was pretty heavily adapted. But anyway, all of this to say, why are the fans coming around hate instead of like being super excited, right? Like it's a really weird take to me. And again, I don't want to be the old man screaming in the void, but like I've been a fan of Avatar since it was on TV in 2005. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just excited that they're willing to try it again because I really picture this, you guys. and I know that like a lot of current Avatar fans don't have this perspective, but like when I got this giant Avatar back piece tattoo that I have, Avatar was dead. There was Avatar, there was Korra, there were like a couple books and a couple of graphic novels, and that's it. There was no plans for anything. You know? Like that's where it's coming from. And now there's Avatar Studios, there's a live action remake. They're talking about the next Avatar after Korra. They're talking about animated movies. It's such a cool time to be an Avatar fan. And I don't understand why the fan base is just hating on all of this stuff coming out, because for real, like 5 years ago, like all of this stuff was impossible. But not just to single out the Avatar fan base, this is like fandom in general, I feel like, nowadays.
Yep, no, 100%. Yeah. I think a lot of it stems from a fear of disappointment. And like a fear of disappointment that's so big that like they'd rather hate it like preemptively than be like pleasantly surprised. Like I just watched what was it? No Way Home again. And
what a great
Michelle
movie.
Jones, great movie. Michelle Jones says in it, like Zendaya, not Vendaya.
A Venn diagram said.
Zendaya's character says, like, if you never get your hopes up for anything, then you're never disappointed. And I feel like a lot of people like kind of like live by that now, which is really unfortunate and really like a doomer pill negative way to look at things. I think you have to hope for things because that, like, puts support behind it for it to be better when it comes down to it.
Well, and what I was talking to David a little bit earlier is, I totally agree with that. You need to hope for things, but let's stop with the, assuming that you know everything about what's going on, and that you assume that you're going to just go ahead and cancel it. Kind of like the comment that I made. I'm so tired. It kills me that people just think that they can go ahead and start canceling things and just spreading negativity when they don't even have the full picture. There's no way they could. There's no way they can have the full picture.
Yep, it's not even out yet, guys. Exactly. Like dead on arrival. Like, are you serious?
Well, and also, what's the point of being negative now? It's not like complaining about certain things that the showrunner has said is gonna like make them go back to the drawing board right now. It's already made at this point, I mean, like it's gonna happen regardless. Like this would have been great feedback to like solicit like maybe during the production of it, but when it comes down to it, like now is just you just have to wait and see, and maybe it will be good. Maybe you're wrong, but like I mean, like yeah,
or maybe they're right, and that's okay too. But passing judgment on something that doesn't exist yet, right, that hasn't been released to the public, it's really dumb. Well, I mean, Star Wars fans, right, are pretty hard about this kind of stuff too.
Right.
Yeah, but, they've also been dealt an interesting set of cards too at this point.
Well, Star Wars was the same thing, right? It was an enclosed, finished thing. And then they started doing more. And it's really interesting. Really interesting. I don't know. I don't like it. I mean, I also last week was the person who was talking about until the credits rolled, I was really hoping the movie would turn around. Sure, the movie that Avatar fans don't speak of, that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've been really unhappy this week because for some reason, like also, I mean, we've talked about this, negativity gets a lot more engagement than
it really
positivity.
Does. Well, and what I hate too is like, okay, so you don't like something about something, so then you're going to try to ruin it for anyone else who's excited about it. Like that's just like the worst mindset to ever have. I mean, like that's just dumb. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah, it's like that, and then also like all the, I've already experienced it. Now I'm going to spoil it for everybody else, kind of mentality too. I hate that.
Who would do that?
Who does crazy. That sort of thing? It's just crazy. Like all these spoilers out here, man. It's just like ruining it for somebody else.
I've been thinking about this, and I was trying to think of like a way to fit it into like 140 characters or whatever the heck that Twitter now allows now.
You mean X?
I'll never call it X except on an accident. Get it? Accident.
Accident.
Yeah. But
I see what you're doing there.
But one of the things that really is upsetting to me is like how I got spoiled on Suicide Squad because a lot of people have problems with like certain things that game does, and yet I didn't get spoiled on Survivor, and I waited 9 months to finish that up. You know, like that's wild. You know, but because everybody liked Survivor, everybody was super careful not to spoil it. But because people didn't like some of the things Suicide Squad did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
because people didn't like Suicide Squad, they just didn't care about spoilers. And to an extent, I understand that a little bit, but I don't think that makes it morally okay. Like, I mean, you know.
Yeah, just because you didn't like it, you're going to go ruin it for everybody else who wants to have a first time kind of reaction to it. David, how long did it take you to stream Jedi Survivor? You were pretty much, when it released about the same time as Suicide Squad, right? So it was pretty much right off the bat, right off the cuff.
Well, so I started streaming it like shortly after it came out or whatever, but then I took a long break from it and I just picked it back up again. So but like still, now I'm like finally near the end. But I mean, like, there's so many twists in that game that I was not expecting. That right. Like I avoided all spoilers of, despite my feed being like pretty much the same in the last like 9 months. I mean, yeah.
Right, and that those times that you did stream it initially when it first released, you didn't have those people coming in and just saying things about it. Where that kills me. I hate how people want to ruin the experience or just be like, I did it now. I gotta now that I know it, I've got to spoil it for everybody because I got to get it out. And it's just like, I don't know.
We're going back to the negativity thing. Like the last time I streamed Anthem, right? I had people coming in and going, "Oh, isn't this the game that like sucked?" And it's like, what? Like, I mean, that's what you heard from it? Because that's not what any of the reviews said. I mean, but that was the discourse around it. Yeah.
I don't like this, but I'm going to say it. 24 years ago. Okay? 24. No, not 24. 14. 14 years ago. I can't do math. I beat the storyline of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And I was very angry about how the story went. And I knew at the time, this is wild to me, actually, everyone think about this. At the time, because at the time it was called Twitter, not X. You could sign up and people's tweets would be texted to you because not everyone had smartphones back then. So it would text people's tweets to you. And I knew that DJD was getting texts of my tweets back in 2010. And I was so mad at the ending. And like no one I knew played video games really except DJD, right? That would talk with me about this. And I knew I was ahead of him. And I tweeted the spoiler, the big thing that happened at the end. I was like, I can't believe this happened. And I did that. And I knew that he was going to see it. And I just waited.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But
I almost quit right ago. There. I think I did quit for like several
14 years ago. Yeah, that was 14 years ago. I was a very young person at that time.
Yeah.
So we've all been there. And we have to grow. We all have to grow.
And I understand like that it's almost necessary to be able to vent about things, but I think there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, right? Like if you're upset about something, obviously you don't want to be holding that in. You want to talk to someone about it. But I think that like the way that the internet exists today, like that spreading negativity around as prolifically and carelessly as we do, I mean, it's just overall it's an extremely unhealthy and toxic like environment that we create by doing that. And like I would really like for us to kind of like be healthier about that,
And I would like to differentiate a little bit too in this situation of what we're talking about. There's a difference between not liking something that's out, right? Like not liking the Suicide Squad game that's out if you've played it, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, and something that's not even out that you don't know. Yeah. No,
not
I agree.
liking something that isn't even out yet, right? Yeah. Like not like that.
Yeah,
it's even more egregious.
Yeah, I would agree that it's more egregious, but I think it still falls in like the same like bubble of that.
I would agree.
That Zendayagram. You know,
The Zendayagram.
Well, I mean, this kind of behavior could stem off of any sort of rumor that you just read, and that's the problem. It becomes something bigger than it really should be, just because. Oh, I read this and it's a rumor, and then people just go with it. And again, this could be like 6 months before it's even released, or way even before that. It couldn't, it might not even be in concept, but you just, you just think of this, and it's negative to you. So then you spread that, and then you got this whole group made of people being toxic or almost canceling or bringing negativity to, let's say, a franchise that's beloved. But through all this chaos, they end up ruining it for everybody, ruining it for the developers, ruining it for the whole franchise, per se, and it makes it do, it makes it not become a hit. It could have been a hit, but it just it ruins the whole
Anthem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Anthem.
Yeah.
It ruins it for everybody, and it becomes something that becomes canceled, even though it really shouldn't have been.
Right. Or even Andromeda to an extent too, I would say. BioWare just has had a rough go.
I had so when Mass Effect Andromeda came out, I played it and I had a glitch that I knew would fix, it would get fixed where I was stuck on something or whatever. But it ruined my momentum for the game. And a lot of people love to hate that game, right? I went back later. I totally got in. That game was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, why did people hate this? This is not bad at all.
I think a lot of it has to do with the expectations of what people expected it to be. I think it's the same problem that Suicide Squad is experiencing now, where people have a certain expectation of what a Mass Effect game should be in their mind. And we also saw this with No Man's Sky too, although part of that was Sony's fault for hyping up No Man's Sky so much and everything. But when it came down to it, and No Man's Sky actually did fulfill those expectations years later for free by continuing to put their heads down and work on it. But essentially, people have it in their mind what a Mass Effect game should be. And then Andromeda comes out, and that's not what they expected, right? It's completely different from the other Mass Effects in a lot of ways, right? And that really upset a lot of people because it wasn't what they were expecting. And same with Suicide Squad, where Suicide Squad is a co-op, fun, almost like brawler a little bit, with skill-based and everything. It's not the single-player Rocksteady Arkham experience that you're used to, right? But it does have that Rocksteady polish. But because people have it in their minds, it needs to be
that it's called
a Rocksteady game.
Rocksteady, because that just makes it sound like it's really steady, rock steady.
Yeah.
Well, it needs to be rock steady,
Yeah.
Sorry.
And everybody's wanting to play that game, again, like you said, it's a Batman game, but it is not a Batman game, and that's okay.
Right.
Yeah. Lift off your blinders a little bit and, try something new.
There is only one thing. I have an expectation of this game. I haven't played it. There's only one thing that I want this game to have. And if it doesn't have it, it's a failure, in my opinion. And that is, at some point, somebody needs to be like, are we some kind of Suicide Squad?
Oh, gosh.
That's it. That is all I want in the game. That's it.
That's pretty funny. I don't know that I've heard that line yet, but I'm sure it's there. They do a lot of really good callbacks to DC stuff. They really honor DC, I feel mostly pretty well. I mean, obviously there's some stuff that people find controversial because you're killing these beloved Justice League characters and stuff. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun with it. But
really quick, what I would love to happen is I would love for whether it be a comic book or a movie or any media, I would love for there to be this big build up, it's really tense, and then Superman just beat the crap out of Batman without even trying. Batman does everything he possibly can. He's had so much time to prepare, and he just can't beat Superman, and Superman just effortlessly just murders him. That would just be fantastic, because we all know Superman is better than Batman in every way. And there's no chance. There's just no chance Batman has zero chance against Superman, and it's just wild that it's even a conversation. Like,
Johnny just
I
wants
would
to have
really
a fight
love that.
today.
I would really love for them to portray that, right? Batman's only power is white privilege, right? Like, come on, right?
No,
He's just
no,
he's
not
just
at
a
all.
rich white guy.
You know what? I'm on the Batman train, and I will bury this. I will go with my to the grave. Honestly, Batman is got the smarts way more than Supes. I'm just telling you right now. He's got the
bullets literally
but
bounce off of him.
But it
literally
doesn't matter
bounce
if you
off
don't have brains, man. Okay, I said it. Superman just goes into battle without a strategy. He has no strategy. His strength is his strategy, and that's actually part of the problem that I have with his story arc. A lot of the times is that they don't actually try to, better him. It's just the same thing where he's just like, I can handle this. I can handle it. No, I can't handle it. Now I can handle it. Now I'm better. I somehow beat the bad guy at the end because I'm strong. They need to have more of a diverse story arc for him.
I like
honestly.
I absolutely agree.
Is it X-Men? Is it X-Men 3 where they're like, we need a plan of attack, and Wolverine's like, I have a plan. Attack.
One of the best Superman stories I ever heard like someone pitch was like the idea that Superman struggles with like the morality of things and like having to like not being able to be everywhere at once and like these very human moments that he has to go through like trying. And I think actually Smallville kind of did a decent job with this too,
but
where
they have him turn the world back and then he was able to go back in time. Didn't that happen? Isn't that canon? You know what I'm talking about? I haven't seen the movie, but like he flies around the world the opposite direction.
Well, in some of
it turns the world back.
Yeah, in the
time-wise, right?
First Christopher Reeves Superman, he did that, right? Isn't that right?
Freaking sweet.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I'd love to see Batman do. I'd love to see Batman do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are so many fascinating things for Superman, and I agree with David about the Smallville thing too.
Stop Batman's parents from getting murdered, and then Batman wouldn't even exist. Wow.
Interesting thoughts. Yeah, interesting thoughts. No, I agree with you, David, about I do feel like Smallville touched on a lot of those like almost personal moments more than most of the media. But I just feel like when he's Superman, there needs to be a little bit more to what they usually pitch or put in a story for Superman, because they lose a little bit of something. He's complex. Why are we just assuming that he's just going to brawl and just not use strategy? That's what kills me a lot of times. They don't put that in enough for Superman. I think he should be a little bit more depth wise. He needs a little bit more in his physique as far as his strategy and his how he attacks or things like that. Not just always boom bash. I got the strength. It's always that.
I'm so
try
curious.
to portray him that way a little bit in like Zack Snyder's like Man of Steel and stuff, and it wasn't really well taken.
So originally it wasn't, right? When Man of Steel first came out, a lot of people were kind of like on it. But like looking back retrospectively, I feel like a lot of people actually hail Man of Steel as actually a way better movie. And I can't help wonder if maybe part of that is because like Batman v Superman wasn't the best rendition of like what it was, and Justice League wasn't the best rendition of what it was, and so like maybe the past looks brighter considering where everything led to.
I enjoyed Man of Steel myself when I watched it.
I have not seen the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. Has anyone here seen it?
I have. It's really long.
I have not actually. I never went back and watched it.
Oh my gosh. So essentially the idea behind the Snyder cut is, what? If you give someone enough time, they can explain everything. That's pretty much it.
Wow. But that wasn't even the point,
Yeah, because that's what was wrong. That's what was wrong with Justice League, is we needed more explanation and more time to really understand.
I mean, when you have more explanation, it makes more sense. It's true, but I mean, like, I don't know that the trade-off of making it 6 hours instead of 2 was worth it. I don't know.
Was it really 6 hours?
It was pretty long.
Hold on. I'll look it up.
Oh man.
Snyder cut runtime. Oh man, dude, it's 4 hours long. Whew.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty long.
Hefty.
You
Yeah.
know, people complain about Lord of the Rings, but that's pretty long. But guys, we're at about time. Is there anything we want to throw in before I throw Craig out of here?
He's kicking Craig to the curb. Wow.
Yeah, kicking
Apparently.
Craig to
Yeah.
the curb after
I mean,
last week.
so all this Xbox, or I'm sorry, all this Batman versus Superman talk and the negativity talk does kind of remind me of like the whole like Xbox rumors of like Xbox games going to other platforms. And this could be a bigger discussion, but for now, just curious to get your guys' thoughts on that. Are you okay with that? Do you have any kind
There's
of
a rumor of what? Of like Xbox exclusives going to other platforms?
Yes, like Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush and potentially others. Potentially, and this is all rumors, but like those are the rumors floating around in the ether right now.
Yeah, basically any of the library that's included in Game Pass would be traded off to anybody who was willing to accept it into the fold, I guess.
This
Honestly,
is different, though. This is
specifically,
this is specifically releasing certain titles on Switch and potentially maybe PlayStation.
Are you guys familiar with like that popular trend right now where they're like, I'm a firefighter. Of course I'm da 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 da. You know that video trend right now?
I have no idea.
Or they're like, I'm the eldest child. Of course my parents did da da da. Like, and they like go through all these stereotypes of whatever. If there was one about being an Xbox gamer, it would be, of course I don't care about exclusives because we don't have any. But
wow. Wow.
So
I mean,
yeah, if they want to set them out, who cares? Freaking yeah. PlayStation players want to get trolled by tuna on Sea of Thieves. Freaking yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, I think that's the right attitude to have. I really do. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm right there. I'm totally for everybody trying every experience. Honestly, when it comes to gaming, I wish PlayStation would do that more with like PlayStation. Well, not with Spider-Man. Like that PlayStation would do that more with PlayStation.
Specifically Spider-Man.
No, like Spider-Man. Well, yeah, honestly, Spider-Man, because that's such a huge franchise. It is huge. Yeah. Everybody knows
like
Spider-Man.
Avengers didn't
everybody
even
should be
get
able to
Spider-Man,
play Spider-Man
on Xbox.
Yeah, everybody should be able to experience Spider-Man on any platform.
I would like to play the
Seriously.
new God of War games without having to buy a PS5, personally.
I mean, you could always get a PC.
Yeah, don't worry, it'll be on PC in another year or two. Don't worry.
Ooh. Or like the Final Fantasy VII remake. Remember when the Final Fantasy VII remake was coming to Xbox? Remember that one time they had the Xbox logo in their trailer?
The very first trailer that they had. There's a rumor that's going around that it is coming to Xbox now, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, guys. We haven't been doing this, and I want to do this. Everyone, make sure to leave a positive rating, whether that's on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. That really does help us out. Feel free to follow any of us on social media. You can follow at AnavCast on Instagram, but me, Farmer, and David, you could easily find us on there as well. And I think that's it.
You can always pop in, listen to us live around 11 p.m.-ish Eastern and on Discord on Saturday nights. And then podcast will release at 6 a.m. Eastern Friday mornings.
Yes, we have nailed down a time, everyone. 6 a.m. Eastern Friday mornings. Ish.
Ish. Gotta throw that in there,
Yeah, ish. All right, well, that's it. Bye. Okay, hold on.